raadiyoo sagalee walabummaa Oromiyaati. Raadiyoon sagalee walabummaa Oromiyaa karaa marsariitii independent oromia.org torbanitti yeroo lama kan isiniif dhiyaatu amma jalqaba. Raadiyoon sagalee walabummaa Oromiyaa akeeka qabsoo kan saba Oromoo bilisaaf biyya Oromoo walab sirna dimokiraasii faqaan bulu deebisanii gadi dhaabuu godhamu deeggara. Akeeka qabsoo kana bal'isuufis hojjeta. Birmadummaan Oromoo dafqa dhiigaaf lafee ilmaan Oromoon dhugooma jedhee amana. Dhaggeeffattoota isaas wareegama qaalii kanaaf kakaasuuf carraaqa. Kun raadiyoo sagalee walabummaa Oromiyaati.
The topic of today's conference is in defense of the rights of nations and nationalities to self-determination. So the whole purpose is about reminding our people and every community in Ethiopia that people's rights, especially determining their own fate, how they see, is being abused in the current political situation of Ethiopia. So that will be the central focus. And focusing on this main topic, we are going to address the issue of solidarity among oppressed nations, nationalities, and peoples in Ethiopia, based on the right of all nations to determine their own fate. So having said that, I'm introducing a little bit about Oromia Global Forum. Oromia Global Forum is an alliance of Oromo civic, professional, faith-based organizations, as well as prominent Oromo individuals and human rights defenders. Currently, its members are about 35 organizations. We are operating globally in all continents, as well as at home base. Our goal is to defend the rights of every person, every human being, not to be killed, not to be jailed, not to be imprisoned, not to be robbed the properties of the person, and the right to life. So we would like to work with international human rights organizations, as well as educate the world community what is going on in Oromia and beyond is not acceptable. And our mission is to keep Oromos united and work in solidarity with other oppressed nations and nationalities in Ethiopia and around the globe. And we welcome everybody who we have invited and also welcomed our invitations. In the following communities, I think we have guests from the following communities, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry. Agao community, from Harari community, from Kambata community, from Kimant community, from Sidama community, Tigray community, Benishangul community, Ogaden community, Walaita community, Gambela community, Shakicho community, Silte community. We invited guests from these communities. We would have invited all others too, but we didn't have contact information. So if somebody happens to be not among these communities and not received our invitation, it's just because we didn't have any contact information. So we don't discriminate people on color, on their creed or culture. So we value people's opinions and attitudes if it doesn't go against the freedom of humanity and the self-determination right of any nation. Having said that, I will pass to the next person for the opening remarks, Dr. Banti Teso. Dr. Banti Teso is the second chairperson. I am the chairperson of Oromia Global Forum, and Dr. Banti is the vice chair, and he is also the chairperson of the advocacy team within the organization. We have different committees, and he is the head of the advocacy committee. With this, I pass the turn to Dr. Banti. Dr. Banti,
I just said I was the pastor of the Evangelical Lutheran Church back home in Ethiopia called Makana Jesus. Now I am serving as a pastor in the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Hanover, Germany. Dear brothers and sisters, the life of many African peoples in general and the peoples of who are living in Ethiopian Empire in particular is miserable. When I came to Europe and people were asking me from which country I was coming, and I said Ethiopia, and they turned out their dictionary and showed me Ethiopia is equal to famine or hunger. So their dictionary, hunger, war, disease, and poverty became our identity. Just not because of the natural resource, just because of our collective failure. I say collective failure because we were living just what in German they call it living in a balloon. So we couldn't confront each other with reality. We just passed away or ignored it. The country has never had a leader or the leaders who keep their promises, on who stand for truth or speak truth to the people. The education system has never helped us to think critically and independently. The so-called Ethiopian history we were taught back in the school lacks scientific evidences, usually based on legends, fictions, false stories that distorted the history of most nations and nationalities in southern Ethiopia. The current Ethiopian empire was built or established from 1884 up to 1900. It was the result of the Congo Conference or the Berlin Conference that took here in Germany, in Berlin in 1884. The topic was Scramble for Africa. The European colonial powers have shared African countries. They drew boundaries not according to nations and nationalities. They drew boundaries according to mountains, rivers, and divided many African nations in different parts of the world. And by doing so, they implanted timing bomb. Further, they agreed this to the black colonizer to colonize the Oromo, Afar, Sidama, Somali, Benishangul Gums, Anywa, and many other nations and nationalities in the southern Ethiopia. Menelik II, being himself a black man, participated in slave trade in which many black Africans were sold to the world. The successive emperors who came after Menelik II have suppressed the rights of self-determination of nationalities and nations and promoted Amara culture. The other nations and nationalities in Ethiopia suffered from political discrimination, economical marginalization, cultural suppression, and so on and so forth. To defend their God-given rights, the Oromo and other nations and nationalities in Ethiopia have been conducting liberation struggles that ended the supra-cultural ideology in 1991. Then the transitional government was established, and this transitional government drafted a constitution that guarantees the rights of nations and nationalities that include self-determination. However, the greedy leaders of the Ethiopian People's Democratic Front, EPRDF, I say purposefully EPRDF, under the leadership of TPLF, violated their own constitution, denied the rights of self-determination, and conducted extrajudicial killings, mass arrests, and tortures against many southern people, including the Oromo. I remember the 2003 massacre in Gambela, in which one of my fellow colleague, Pastor Oker Oleto, was assassinated. On one day, about 424 men were killed in Gambela. So the Oromo and other oppressed people should have continued their struggle again to get their freedom, and it costed money. Most popular resistance in Oromia under the leadership of Oromo youth, called Karre on Kero, removed APRDF and forced them to bring the so-called change. I don't call it change. It is a change of person. Change should have been change of system. Dr. Abiy Ahmed to come to power in 2018. Right after he became the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, Dr. Abiy made promising speeches using some biblical words such as love, forgiveness, justice, and peace. However, like his predecessors, he reversed his promises and began to kill as many people as he could, and he is continuing to kill the Oromos and many other people. Some months after he took the power, he began to conduct genocide against Oromo, against Kemant, Sidama, Benishangul, Shakicho, Mursi, and so forth, and the other nations and nationalities. I have seen a video against Mursi people that were killed and massacred, taken by a foreigner. He also introduced his so-called ideology of Madamar that attempted to bring back the Naftanya system that was already buried in 1991. Now we have no neo-Naftanya system of Menelik that try to colonize or abolish the ethnic identity and destroy ethnic federalism and replace it with a unitary system of government in which one language, Amharic, one religion, Orthodox Christianity, and one leader, the seventh emperor, Abiy Ahmed, is planning to rule the country for the next decades. They also dream to rewrite an outdated constitution of Naftanya and Malkanya system. The Naftanya and Malkanya system constitution I got from one of the newspapers reads the following. In Article 125, it reads, የንጉሠ ነገሥቱ መንግስት ግዛት መደበኛ ኦፊሻል ቋንቋ አማርኛ ነው። አርቲክል 126 በአራተኛው መቶ ክፍለ ዘመን በቅዱስ ማርቆስ ትምህርት መሰረት የተቋቋመችው የኢትዮጵያ ኦርቶዶክስ ቤተክርስቲያን የንጉሠ ነገሥቱ መንግስት መሰረታዊ ቤተክርስቲያን ናት። ስለዚህም በመንግስቱ የተደገፈች ናት። የንጉሠ ነገሥቱ ሃይማኖት ሁልጊዜ የኢትዮጵያ ኦርቶዶክስ ሃይማኖት መሆን አለበት። መንፈሳዊ አገልግሎትም በሚደረግበት ሁሉም ንጉሠ ነገሥቱ ስም ይጠራል። Such Naftanya colonial system cannot be accepted by nations and nationalities, including the Oromo. Therefore, the Oromo people began another round of protests that aims to uproot the Naftanya system and allows people's self-determination. To support the new Oromo protest, which started a month ago, we, the diaspora Oromo, civic and religious institutions, professionals and human rights activists came together and established an umbrella organization known as Oromia Global Forum, OGF. Our main aim is to advocate for the rights of humanity. That includes people's rights of self-determination. Thus, it is our legitimate right to support the current Oromo protest and struggle for freedom. The Oromo claim their land, Oromia, that was occupied between 1884 up to 1900 by Menelik II. Oromia belongs to Oromos. Therefore, they have the right to utilize its resources to revive their cultural identity, to follow the religion of their choice, and live peacefully with others or alone. Yesterday, on the 18th of July 2020, we had a launching virtual conference and introduced OGF's mission, objectives, goals, and plan of actions. Today, we have invited some activists from other nations whom we assume believe in self-determination of nations and nationalities as guests. Welcome to our conference. We expect from all nations and nationalities in the current Ethiopian empire to show their solidarity in supporting the ongoing Oromo struggle for self-determination. Each of these guests will be given some minutes to say something if they agree to. The timetable is already told. I don't need to tell again. Dear brothers and sisters, the solution for all nations and nationalities in Ethiopia is to liberate their minds from legendary tellings and seek to know the truth. Only and only if we agree to know the truth, then it will help us to solve all social, economic, political problems of our peoples. I conclude my speech as a pastor with my beloved biblical text found in the Gospel of John chapter 8, verse 32. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Banti, for a very remarkable introduction. And I would like to call by names representatives from other communities which we have invited, whose email address or telephone number we could manage to get from other friends. So I'll call you by names, and we'll give you the opportunity to tell us your presence. And I'll start from by numbers. If I make mistake when I call your names, just educate me at the end of my call. So number one, Dr. Achame Shana from Shakicho people, Mr. Oman Gora from Gambela, Mr. Jamboba Nati from Sidama, Mr. Ahmed Humed from Ogadi, from Afar, Mr. Muhammad Kadir from Silte, Mr. Admasus Agai from Agao, Mr. Amaha Alamayo from Agao, Wezero Ababa Tafori from Kimant, Mr. Abraham Aliyu from I'm not sure about the community, so Dr. Getachew will help me later on.
From Sidama.
From Sidama, okay, thank you. And from Yarod Stefanos from Sidama as well. Dr. Radiet Tamre from Kambata community, born in Addis Ababa. They would like to be called also, mentioned that he is from Addis Ababa basically, or Finfinne. Mr. Muhammad Kadir, I'm not sure about the community. And Mr. Tadas Osho, and Mr. Nuruddin from Harari community, Mr. Nelson Nasir. You all are welcome. If I didn't mention any name, Mr. Alula from Tigray community. So if I didn't mention any names, Dr. Getachew Jigi as well as Obbo Zalalam will help me because they have communicated some of you, and some of you I communicated with you. So I will give chance to Dr. Getachew Jigi for 1 or 2 minutes.
አመሰግናለሁ መሐመድ አይሰማም መሰለኝ በእንግሊዝኛ ትንሽ ከብደዋል ለዚህ ነው ለማሳሰብ የፈለኩት ሁለተኛ አቶ ቤተና የኦሮሞ የረጅም ጊዜ የኦሮሞ የትግል አጋር የሲዳማ ሊደር እዚህ ውስጥ ይገኛሉ በእድሜም የተከበሩ ሰው ናቸው በጣም የምንወዳቸው ሌላው አማርኛ ችግር እንግሊዝኛ ችግር ካለ በየሳምንቱ ሰኞ የብሔር ብሔረሰቦች የጋራ ምክክር በዚሁ ኦሮሚያ ግሎባል ፎረም ስር የምናካሄደው ዝግጅት በየሳምንቱ ስላለ በዛ ላይ ግልጽ እናረጋለን ደምቦባ ናቲ ሁሉንም ማስታወሻ ስለሚይዙልን በነገ ፕሮግራማችን ግልጽ ያልሆነው ግልጽ እናረግላችኋለን እንድታውቁልኝ የምፈልገው የኛ የምናካሄደው የነበረው የዚሁ የግሎባል ኦሮሚያ ግሎባል ፎረም አካል ነው ተጠሪነታችንም ለዚሁ ድርጅት ነው እና እንደዚህ እንድትረዱልኝ ይፈልጋለሁ በጣም አመሰግናለሁ መሐመድ የሚሰማ ከሆነ
Thank you so much, Dr. Getachew. I hope everybody hears. And you can use any language of your choice. You are free to use any language in your capacity. And we will have translators, even if I may not be able to speak. I speak about 5 languages, but that may not be enough because there are a lot of people here. The next presenter will be Professor Asfa Bayene. Professor Asfa Bayene builds up on the whole concept of the right to self-determination and the right of people to determine their fate and, if possible, work together in solidarity. So Professor Asfa Bayene is a professor of mechanical engineering at the San Diego State University. His research interests include thermodynamics and energy conversion, with emphasis on modeling and experimental analysis. His inventions have been reported, among others, by Science. He has attracted about $10 million in grants to SDSU. He has published over 120 articles in various peer-reviewed journals and proceedings. Professor Bayene has received several awards for his scholarship, including Distinguished Faculty Monty Award, as Outstanding Faculty Award of SDSU, Outstanding Contribution from Department of Energy Developer of the Year by Association of Energy Engineers, ASME's Best Paper Award, and many others. He has chapters including 2 in well-known books, Handbook of Mechanical Engineering and Mark's Handbook. He is fellow member of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. He is associate editor of ASME's Journal of Energy Resources and Technology and guest editor of many journals. He has delivered several invited and keynote speeches. Currently, he serves as a director of the Sustainable Energy Center and associate dean of SDSU-G. So with this, I will pass to Professor Asfa Bayene. As I said before, we are not promoting only one idea. We are promoting the basic idea of self-determination of nations and nationalities so that every people can decide whatever they wish, whatever type of government, whichever party, whichever language, whichever history they prefer for themselves. With this, I pass to Professor Asfa Bayene. Asfa Bayene, please take over. Thank you.
I'm introducing this person who just flew in. I will do that in a minute, but my topic really is on the significance of collaboration and at 2 layers, and I will explain what I mean by those 2 layers. I will use a lot of graphics so that those who don't follow me in English can follow me. I delved out of my comfort area, which is engineering, and I Googled about components of human societies. And the reason why you see 4 or so references at the bottom is that to give you confidence that I'm not the one who classified these human societies components into 5 areas: population, culture, material products, social organization, and social institutions. Almost every sociology book, and there are a few in the audience who will probably even argue that this is quite trivial for them. But my point here is there are 5 components of human societies, and the literature is unanimous on this. While population, culture, material products are self-evident, social organizations and social institutions are confused. Most of the time, people don't know the real differences, including myself, until I faced this topic. So I will talk a little bit about the difference between social organization and social institutions, and then move on to my next topic. An organization is groups of individuals bound by some constraint, some purpose to achieve some objectives. And I'll give you some examples. Whereas an institution is a constraint, it's a system. The metaphor is that organizations are players of the game and institutions are the rules of the game. The institutions and the formal units of the organizations. I will give you an example. As an organization, OSA, the Oromo Studies Association, is an organization. The Oromo Sports Federation is an organization. Physicians can have an organization, Oromo physicians or Sidama physicians. And Machatulama is an organization. Whereas an institution is broader. Churches are institutions. Education, government, family, our National Institute of Health is the body that governs medical institutions in the United States, is also an institution. The color-coded symbols here mean that they are tied. For example, physicians are tied to NIH, OSA is tied to education, etc. But that link need not be there. It's not a must. So now that we know that at least the distinction, the difference between an organization and an institution, I would like to introduce a complete society. Remember, population, culture, material, and social organization and social institutions are the 5 components. So let's imagine that these 5 components make a complete society. What does this complete society look like? It has an arm of population, which was the first component, culture, which is the second component, and material wealth, and the 2 societies, social organization and social institution. Of course, as population, these 5 components simply, without an idea, without head, they don't make a complete society. So let's put some idea at the top. Now, this person which was flying in during my first presentation is my complete society, a person symbolizing a complete society with all the 5 components. Of course, the people have to have an idea. And the metaphor is obvious. These are God-given. We have population, we have culture, a group of people coming together and wandering without culture, or they don't make a society. Any of these components missing, it voids the definition of the society. So this is a complete society. Now, I want to talk about 2 layers of collaboration for this complete society. 1 within, 2 across. When I say within, the Sidamas can have some collaboration within Sidama institutions. The Afars can have that. The Sidamas, Gambela, Shakicho, Kambata, Kamant, Agaw, Tigray, Harari, we all have, as you saw, social organizations. or social institutions. Each of them is a society. Within that society, Oromos can collaborate. That is what I call the within. The across is these institutions can cross the border and collaborate with Sidamas, Ago, Afar. We have been very weak historically in doing that. And that's why I want to thank the organizers of this meeting, because it's conceptually the launching of this type of concept. We have been calling for collaboration across the societies of Ethiopia for many years. And we have had some success, but at large it is a lot to be desired. So if you see populations collaborating with population, it's a kind of meaningless. Culture collaborating with culture, yeah, you can organize concerts, music together. That's also not that penetrating. You can bring together your material products and make them collaborate, producing some materials. That's fine. Social institutions can also collaborate. But what really makes the difference, is the social organization, collaboration at social organization level. And that's what I'm going to emphasize. In the legs of social organization, examples of which I gave a little earlier, for at a within level, within Oromo community, within Ago, within Kemant, within Kambata, you have to develop before you create this collaboration, this network within your own society. It is difficult to go and collaborate across these societies. But now let's take this collaboration within as an example. I'll take the Oromo society, which I know closely, as an example, and I'll take one of the legs, which I explained earlier, the social organization. We know, I gave you some examples, OSA, physicians, Machatulama, lawyers, Oromo Sports Federation. We can build on these. There are many more social organizations. And what I'm proposing is that we have to boost the network of these social organizations. One may think, what does OSA have to do with Oromo Sports Federation? It's a lot of things to do with each other. At least I can give you my own example. I love soccer, and at the same time, I love OSA. So my being and participating at Oromo soccer gives the kids some ambition. They want to have some role models, etc. And there can also be many facets of collaboration. I'm talking about collaboration within a society. And I'm taking Oromo as an example, but this can be here Sidama, this can be Harari, and you have to create a network of collaboration within your society. And then across the society, I can imagine Kambata, Walaita, Agao, Benishangul, Tigray, you can build on, and this is what I'm calling across societies. And they can collaborate on various projects. And the concept that I was asked by Obojamal to insert, this is what I inserted this morning. I was not prepared, just like my colleague, Professor Mohammed, too, but I thought there is a place to interject that concept. In self-determination as a project, we can collaborate across the societies. I'll show you why this is critical. And civic organizations such as Machatulama, there may be another civic organization in Agao, in Benishangul, in Keman. If not, organizations can collaborate, physicians can collaborate. Now I'm talking about across societies. And why am I? There are many other examples of close collaborations of this type of groups or social organizations, many in the world, which I gave you some examples on the left side. So why do we do this? What is the purpose of collaborating within and across? One, improved defense. Professor Mohammed spoke about the need to organize some united front against some bad intentions. We can build fully engaged spectrum of capacities. Always two is more than one mathematically. And when we bring our power energy together, we build capacities that we can singularly cannot manage. We can knowing each other. Just knowing each other can boost morale, and this is I read somewhere that knowing is a very important aspect of collaboration. You can work and find out somebody's weakness and strengths, and then pick those areas where you can be productive and avoid areas where you will not be productive. More productive and fewer meetings. We don't have to replicate what somebody is doing. Maybe somebody has already invented something in one section. Maybe in Sidama, they know how to solve something. Sidama's farmers are doing something that is helping the commands or the agaws. So we can build a pyramid and reduce the number of meetings, share experts. In a developing country like ours, we never have enough experts. So we can bring together. I remember some years ago, we collaborated with some of our Sidama scholars, and we produced a small book, which was part of the book was written by a number of Oromo scholars and a few Sidama scholars. Accelerated service. We can speed up delivery of our services. We can get higher retention if people are happy and they feel organized, they feel successful. They tend to support each other longer. Centralized alignment, and we can also collaborate. And I don't want to be too militaristic, but for example, if there is some locust attack, we can cooperate, and these attacks can be for other bad things too, not necessarily locust. Improved productivity. And there was an interview of Google workers about the profitability of their institution. They were asked what would they think contributes most to the collaboration, to their profitability. And 56% responded that collaboration-related measure as the #1 issue that contributed to the profitability of the organization, meaning collaboration definitely increases. If it helped Google, it will help us all too. Collaboration may generate friction, but this can be used to also generate some dynamic and innovative ideas. That friction should be used and not feared. So other things, collaboration, we can build ladders. Remember, one of the arms, the social organization I expressed, that is what makes the difference. We can easily collaborate across the societies and within the societies. We can build ladders. Look, if this is what we can build from within, remember that within is the Oromo society. That's how high we can go. But if others help us, we can build a little higher also. And on the left side, you can see that that is the across collaboration, from within collaboration. So we built a ladder that is higher than otherwise, which we can build by ourselves only. We can also, by building higher, reach our objective, that self-determination, or call it freedom. So we can build ladders. The second benefit is we can build bridges. We can build such a bridge from within, collaboration. If we can build a bridge that long, by collaborating, maybe we can finish the bridge now. I don't want the full spectrum of the bridge not to be seen. As you see, here it's not it's incomplete, here it is complete. So we can build bridges, and what is on the other side of the bridge again is our self-determination, our freedom. We can accelerate that by building bridges, by collaborating. That's extra bridge our collaboration deserved us or got us. Nearing my end, at the end of my presentation, we can also build fences around our success. I don't need explanation here. That may be a fence we can build if we collaborate within Oromos, among us. But if we add others, we can build a complete fence. So, in conclusion, I'm not calling for unity. That's a different topic. I'm asking for collaboration within and outside. Anybody who is unwilling to collaborate must produce a good reason, and there can be very good reasons. For example, if you are a Hadawi and if you don't believe in collaboration, if you don't believe in self-determination, you can stay out. But a very important message of collaboration within Oromos during Machaatulama gathering on May 15, 1966 in Itaya. This gathering attracted about 100,000 local farmers, Oromo people, and the leadership of Machaatulama was there. Among them was a very famous leader of the local Machaatulama, Haji Robale Ture. And he said, streams join together to form a river. And people also join together to be a nation. That's a very high level of collaboration he was talking about. And after that meeting, Oromo Muslims and Christians ate each other's meal. Until that time, Christian Ethiopia has imposed that the Christians don't eat what the Muslims slaughtered and vice versa. Because of that sharing of food, Machaatulama organization association was labeled as a pagan movement, because the Christians, as Christians who went from the center, they ate what the Muslims prepared. And there is cost to collaboration, there is meaning to collaboration, there are transcending times when collaboration becomes or initiates a big movement, a big change. So again, in conclusion, we can build ladders, we can build bridges, we can build fences, and then maybe this cowboy, little boy, who probably, in my opinion, as I see his face, if he got the education, could be an excellent professor, stays and remain a cowboy. And this boy can be Shakicho, Gambela, Silte, Ago, Harari, could be anybody. And he is saying, we deserve your collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. I think it is well taken. So this is also a strategy for survival for everybody, every human being. Working together produces more result and speedy. Thank you. So I should not spoil his speech. And we had the third person, Dr. Tsaggai Ararsa. He was unable to come today to join us. In fact, he had the conceptual framework around self-determination as a principle of organization and as a right for people, nationalities. Probably we will have another conference where his ideas will be also presented to the larger audience. But for today, we apologize for not being able to have Dr. Tsaggai among us. For sure, we will have either Dr. Tsaggai or somebody else for the future. And having said that, I just want to emphasize the importance of this conference in relation to what is going on in Ethiopia currently. As Professor Muhammad Hassan has already said, the current Prime Minister of Ethiopia, from the very first day when he entered the palace, has promised to reverse, to go back to the previous Ethiopia, the legendary Ethiopia, the most praised Ethiopia he knew, which most of the population in Ethiopia do not know. And his role models would be the emperors like Menelik and Haile Selassie, where Professor Muhammad has mentioned he had never known in history anybody having slaves over 70,000 in number. And Dr. Abiy is dreaming to go back to those days where people's hands were cut off. And he is practically doing it now, as you saw. In the last 3 weeks, Oromia is under fire. He is killing kids, children. And for the last 2 years, it has not been throughout the whole of Oromia. It has been in the western, southern parts of Oromia mostly. But today, it is everywhere. So prominent Oromo intellectuals, political leaders, activists, medias are already closed up. So currently we have the era of Menelik already, strictly speaking. And we believe this is not going to stop with Oromo and Oromia. We believe this will go further to other nations and nationalities. You all know what happened to the Sidama few months back. Just because they asked for their rights, that is within the Ethiopian constitution, to govern themselves, to be their own rulers. And they killed a lot of people. They also shut up their media. They arrested a lot of activists. And we know also what is going on in Agao, around Command. We know also what is going on in Tigray, using the TPLF as a scapegoat. The voice of people, Tigrayan people, are also not being heard. We know that the Ethiopian government or the Abiy government doesn't want any election. He doesn't want for indefinite time. There is no time that there will be any elections in Ethiopia according to what is taking place today. So we want every nation, every people in Ethiopia and around the globe to understand what Abiy is doing doesn't represent the Oromo at all. The Oromos have never dreamed of taking care of any imperial ideology. We rather stand for the freedom of humanity all over the world, not only in Oromia and around that area. We also believe that people have the most power to decide on their own fate. That as slavery has never continued in USA, in America, or in the rest of the world, it will never continue in Ethiopia as well as its surrounding area if it exists anywhere. So we call upon all nations and nationalities in Ethiopia and around the world to stand for truth, to stand for justice, and to support each other, to stand for the self-determination right of every individual as a person and the right of every nation as a society. So we support any people's or any individual's right to take his rights into his own hands. No person's right should be taken into the hands of a tyrant. No people's rights should be taken into the hands of dictators. So, as a civic institution, the Oromia Global Forum stands with all peoples within Ethiopia and outside of Ethiopia who stand for the rights of all nations, all peoples, all individuals to take their rights into their hands, because we believe we have to do the same. With this, I would like to pass forward to the audience, especially to our guests from other communities, to ask questions, to deliver their comments, and focus on the future, working together for the benefit of all. Kanumaanin manaa fi carraa dabarsaa namni gaafii qabdan, komentii qabdan jara lamaanuu gaafachuu dandeettu. Baay'ee ulfaadhaa isiniin jaa. Maybe if I have to say something in Amharic, the same thing I said in English and Afaan Oromo, shortly. I may be poor in Amharic language, So if that happens, please, Yusuf, forgive me. ይህንን ፕሮግራም ያዘጋጀነው ለኦሮሞ ማህበረሰብ ነበረ። አሁን እየተከፈላችሁ ያላችሁት ፕሮግራም በኦሮሚያ ግሎባል ፎረም በኦሮምኛ ወልተጅይ መሪ ኦሮሚያ Idil-addunyaa በመባል የሲቪክ ኢንስቲትዩሽኖች የትምህርትና የእውቀት ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች እንዲሁም የእምነት ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች ቸርች ሞስክስ በአንድነት በኮላቦሬሽን ያዘጋጁት ነው። ወደ 35 የሚሆኑ የኦሮሞ ኦርጋናይዜሽኖች አባል ናቸው። ዋናው ዓላማችን በህዝቦች በኦሮሞና በሌሎች ማህበረሰቦችም ላይ የሚደረግ ኢሰብአዊ ጥቃት በየትኛውም መልኩ በማንም ቢሆን እንዳይከሰት የሚከሰቱ ደግሞ ከሆነም ለመቃወም ነው ዋናው ትግላችን። ሰብአዊነትን ያለ ከለር ያለ ካልቸር ያለ ቋንቋ ያለ ቦታ ያናራ ቦታ ማለት ነው ኢሰብአዊነትን ሁሉ ቦታ እንቃወማለን። we are against injustice anywhere። አሁን ያለው የኢትዮጵያ ወይም የዶክተር አብይ መንግስት የኦሮሞን አይዲያ ወይ የኦሮሞን ራዕይ በፍጹም የማይወክል መሆኑን ለሌሎች ማህበረሰቦችን ለመግለጽ በዚህ እንወዳለን። ኦሮሞ በሰው ልጆች ነፃነት፣ በሰው ልጆች እኩልነት፣ በሰው ልጆች እድገት የሚያምን ማህበረሰብ ነው። በነፃነት የሚያምን ማህበረሰብ ነው። የራስን እድል በራስ ለመወሰን የሚያምን ማህበረሰብ ነው። individual rights as well as group rights የግለሰብን የማህበረሰብን። ስለዚህ ዋናው የምናቀነቅነው ሰዎች በግለሰብ ደረጃም የራሳቸውን መብት ለራሳቸው እንዲወስኑ የሚፈልጉትን ድርጅት መቀላቀል እንዲችሉ የማይፈልጉትን ድርጅት ደግሞ መቀላቀል ቢያቆሙ መብታቸው እንደሆነ ማህበረሰቦች የራሳቸውን እድል በራሳቸው እንዲወስኑ የሚፈልጉትን ቋንቋ መጠቀም እንዲችሉ የሚፈልጉትን ባህል ማዳበር እንዲችሉ ከሚፈልጉት ማህበረሰብ ጋር አብሮ መኖር እንዲችሉ ከማይፈልጉት ጋር ደግሞ በራሳቸው ውሳኔ እንደፈለጋቸው መኖር እንዲችሉ የሰው ልጆች መሰረታዊ የራስን እድል በራስ የመወሰን መብት እንዲከበር እኛ ፕሪንሲፕል ነው ማለት ነው። መሰረታዊ የሰው ልጆች ሁሉ በግለሰብ በማህበረሰብ ደረጃ። ለዚህም ነው ለኦሮሞ ማህበረሰብ ብለን ያዘጋጀነውን ይህንን ዝግጅት ከሌሎች ወንድሞች ህዝቦች ጋር ብንካፈል ምናልባት የነሱም ኢንተረስት ሊሆን ስለሚችል እንደ እንግዳ ብንጋብዛቸው ሊቀበሉን ይችላሉ ብለን ሁላችንንም ይጋብዝናችሁ ማለት ነው። በዚሁ እንግዲህ እስካሁን የሰማችሁትን ፕሬዘንቴሽኖች ከፕሮፌሰር መሐመድም ከፕሮፌሰር አስፋወየም ጥያቄም አስተያየትም ካላችሁ በዚሁ አሳልፍላችኋል። እንግዲህ ለምኮላተፉ አማርኛ ይቅርታ ታደርጉልኛላችሁ። በዚሁ ለእናንተ ያስተላልፋለሁ። So you are given the chance to ask questions in any language of your choice, and you are given also the chance to air your opinions in any language of your choice. Thank you so much.